What's going on, everyone? DeBear's here with another build video. Today I'm going over a build on my Warlock with the Apotheosis Veil, which just got a pretty large buff this season, and I've seen a lot of builds focus on the ability spam part of this, and I'm going to focus more on a weapon instead of abilities. So I'm going to feature the Tessellation fusion rifle in this build, and it has the property irreducible perk, which if you long press your reload button, you can store one of your grenades into the weapon and shoot this big ball of energy that does a ton of damage. And instead of spamming abilities, we'll be spamming this weapon. So let's head over to the mods, and as per usual, this is what I usually have in my class ability, class item. And for the legs, since we got 3 Strand weapons, we get 3 Strand surges for the most damage. Got harmonic reserves to help with the fusion rifle and the grenade launcher. Now these two are pretty replaceable depending on whatever you're doing or whatever you want to help get some resistance from. Since I was just using this in the new dungeon, and that final boss is killer with those like heat-seeking void balls. I had these two on, but you can change those to whatever you please. And for the arms and head, I have hands on and heavy-handed because the melee ability is a big part of this build to keep unraveling rounds on my auto rifle and all the other weapons. So since we'll be using our melees most of the time to generate some unraveling rounds, why not help it boost our super and get some orbs as well. Now the artifact plays a pretty solid role in this build with unraveling orbs. Whenever you pick up an orb, you get unraveling rounds in your strand weapons, just like the melee ability will do for our build, but this is just another way to get unraveling rounds. And Horde Shuttle, which damaging unraveled targets with a weapon occasionally spawns a threadling, and since we'll have unraveling rounds a lot, this will happen a lot, which is pretty nice. Now the new buff is, this was the same, ability instantly regenerate health, melee grenade, rift energy for you and your allies. But after your super ends, you temporarily gain greatly increased melee and grenade regen. And that is the big change. Now, ever since that other protocol exotic was super nerfed, I feel like this will become a whole lot more used during raids, since you can spam melees and grenades again like you used to. Well, not for as long, but I think you get 7 or 8 seconds of the fast ability regen, but it's nothing compared to what the old protocol one was before. I need to look that up. Starfire Protocol. Yeah, it's not the old Starfire Protocol, but it's still pretty good. Now for the primary weapon, I got a Lethal Abundance from Iron Banner, and I got Onslaught on mine and Slice, since we'll be utilizing a lot of Strand debuffs. Having Slice on this weapon, which lets you sever targets after casting your class ability, is just another added bonus to this build. And like I said, Tessellation is going to be the feature for this build with its property irreducible, which I mentioned before. Now I have the Caraxes Distress as my heavy, and I have that crafted with full court reconstruction and spike grenades, but I've been kind of playing around with the Dragon Cult Sickle from the new dungeon, and I have Slice and Hatchling on mine, which is a pretty good combo for a Strand build, but kind of depending on what you're going to be using this for, you can do either or something completely different, but that is up to you for the heavy weapon. Now let's head to the subclass. First three are pretty standard, and I have Threadling Grenade as my grenade, just because I love the way Threadlings work with Warlocks, and the Weaver's Call aspect to make more Threadlings when we cast our Rifts. And now, on the other videos I've seen for using a build kind of like this in higher end content, I've seen people use Weave Walk, but since this uses your melee energy, you would have to change the mods around for on the head and arms, since you pretty much wouldn't be using your melee energy. You would use it as a getaway mechanic, but in any other circumstance, and honestly, I was doing pretty well at staying alive with the Wanderer in the new dungeon. So I feel like this one could work out pretty well, since with this your tangles suspend targets and your threadlings also create more tangles. So with this you'll be suspending a lot of targets, and I feel like you're able to stay alive pretty decently with the Wanderer instead of Weave Walk, but I'll leave that up to you guys. And for the fragments, I got that, as well as you get 2 fragment slots. With Weave Walk, you get 1 fragment slot, which is also why I kind of lean more towards the Wanderer to get a second fragment slot. Now let's head to the fragments. I got Thread of Binding, which your super final blows emit a suspending burst. This is really nice if you're just throwing it out there as an ad clearing super, and the 10 resilience is also nice as well, since I don't really have stellar stats, but anything really helps. We got Thread of Continuity to increase the duration of all these debuffs we're going to be giving out. The Suspend from all our tangles, Unravel from our weapons, and the Sever from my auto rifle. Having that last longer is always a great thing. Since we're going to be using Threadlings, the Thread of Evolution is a great combo with that. And the last one, I've been jumping around between either Thread of Propagation, which gives you unraveling rounds. I mean, yes, it's just another way to get unraveling rounds, and it gives you 10 strength. Or you can just go with the classic of the Thread of Generation. Dealing damage generates grenade energy, but since the artifact doesn't last forever, I figured why not put this on. It's just another way to get unraveling rounds, and unraveling rounds also helps with barrier champions, so why not? Now, what you want to do, since this is pretty much just a play how you want to play build, I'm just going to go over what I would do for a DPS phase. So first you would load up your grenade, shoot that off, shoot your super, and you got 7 seconds to shoot off as many of these as possible. And there you go. Shoot off your melees and continue on with the damage phase. But if you can get 4 of those balls off, which each of them does like around 120,000 damage or something like that, depending on what you're doing, of course, and with no debuffs, you should be having a pretty good amount of damage for a pretty short amount of time, since the Warlock super is a one and done sort of deal. I'll run into this lost sector with this, with this tangle, show what the Wanderer does with the tangles. It also looks a little different as you're carrying him around as compared to normally, I think. I don't know, when I put this on, I kind of noticed that. So when you have the Wanderer equipped, oh, he would, you know? He would. Alright, let's get our unraveling rounds. Okay, there's our Tangle. And you throw that out there, and bam. Suspended. That's pretty much the build. And you can see it lasted a pretty long time, because I know they just nerfed how long that lasts for. So, having your suspend last extra long is always a great thing. Excuse me. Just blew that up. But alright. You get the gist of it. Kind of doing a new dance on this time. But hope you guys like the build. And I think I'm putting this one out after Christmas. So I hope everyone had a good Christmas. Peace.